We're here with the next couple projects. We just picked up two bikes together. This one being a 2003 Yamaha PW50. We do have, I already ripped the seat off. We do have the seat. The seat cover is actually in really good shape, which is a good sign. What we know about this bike, still has the original carb on it, which is really nice. Both the brakes work really nice. Front bar is a little bent. Shocks are locked in the front. Tires both hold air, so that's all really good. For some reason, both of the bikes came with no exhaust system, so that's kind of a interesting thing. They're cheap for this one at least, so that's good. The seller stated that this bike did not have compression. However, for a PW50, like, that's decent. I mean, we're going to test it here for sure. But so kind of the overview on this first bike here. Definitely feeling pretty good about this one. This is the second bike we got, a 2003 as well. This one is a TTR 90 with the E-Start, which is nice. So no clutch, but you still got to shift. This bike looks pretty complete, has the OEM Mikuni carb on it, has the airbox. As I said, the only thing this one is missing is the full exhaust system. So super weird. Seller stated this one does not have compression either. However, like there is still some there. So we're gonna check. Everything out on both these bikes. But it has the key, which is nice. Front bars are very bent, and front shocks on this one kind of work, and rear shocks are all right. But so I think we did pretty good for scoring both of these for 800. They should be nice flips for us. We're going to work on the PW50 first here. All right, so the first thing we're going to check for is spark on these bikes. So I got our plug out. I did notice it looked to be running pretty decent at one point. However, there's no gas, or no, the plug's not wet. So that tells us it wasn't getting fuel. Granted, who knows if there's even fuel in here. But so we got our plug in the boot. We're going to ground this out to the motor, and we got good spark. I will bring you guys in a little closer here so hopefully you can see. All right, so we got our compression tester in there. I'm just going to hold it up here. We are going to do throttle open, and there is no air filter on here, so I can see right in here the throttle is working. We are going to hold the throttle wide open, kick it 10 times. We're hoping to see over 100. 120 would be like perfect. However, it should run on above like 80, 90, I believe. All right, we are up to 65. We're gonna keep kicking and see if we can get a little bit more. So we got it up to 70, so definitely low. There is one thing we can try and do is squirt a little bit of two-stroke oil in there to free up the rings. And if that boosts our compression, then we know our rings were stuck. All right, let's try and get some two-stroke oil in there and try it again. We have added 1 or 2 pumps of our two-stroke oil. That's just the normal Yamaha lube this bike uses. As I said, let's see if this can free up our ring on our piston and give us a little bit more compression. So we're going to do throttle open here again. That's not good. All right. So just like that, you could see we are up to 125. So our ring was just stuck. We got a couple options. We could see if this bike put a PW50 exhaust I have on this bike and see if it will run, but it should get a top end rebuild is what it should get. Let's put the exhaust on and see if we can get it to run in about 20 minutes here after picking it up. Definitely did get ahead of myself. Totally forgot. We gotta check if we have fuel getting to the engine now. We know we have spark and compression, so next we gotta pull this carburetor out and give her a quick inspection. So we got our petcock off. I pull the fuel line clamp first, and of course these fuel lines are very brittle. Oh shoot. Well, I guess that piece will just stay like that. Try and get the oil line off without doing that. There is still oil in the tank, so I believe the direct injection is still hooked up. Just using a flathead to kind of work it off the metal piece to hopefully not pull it out. Like I pulled this one out. Shoot, we pulled it out and there's oil coming out of it. Well, that's a good sign at least. Okay, we have a flathead bolt up here, which is definitely wrong. I did notice our throttle cable was in the correct way. You could see the cutout of the throttle cable on the airbox side. This is definitely the wrong hardware, but it seemed to be working. This feels like our choke is very much so stuck. So how I got this choke out was I kind of just kept spraying PB Blaster and W40 in the channel and then used the flathead to lightly pop the top of it off. We're going to look inside of there and see if this is the right choke tube, because obviously your choke tube should slide freely when you do this, but like our choke is clearly not working, so we're probably going to need to replace it. But I'm going to spray off the outside of this, get us on the workbench, and we'll start checking out the inside. So we got our carb here, disregard everything else. First thing we're going to do is unscrew our 4 screws on the bottom with a Phillips. Oh wow. Just try and get some more. Don't want to have to break the gasket to this if we don't need. Should use a mallet, but again, I don't know where mine is. That worked. Wow. Oh my gosh. Let me show you this. Guys, this is insane. Look at the inside of this carb. I have never seen a PW50 carb so bad. That is crazy. I'm just scraping it away. Gonna let all that sit for a little bit. This is still mind-blowing how bad this is. I don't know if we're gonna be able to get that float or the pin for the float off. Let's see. And we need to not send it flying across the garage either. I know I've seen two vintage use a spring-loaded tool for this. Unfortunately, I don't have that. Oh, it's coming. We are winning. Just using a little pick tool and just like that, we got it out, I believe. Got our thing out. Our float should come out. And we got our needle. Ooh, we got our needle. Needle actually feels pretty good. Float has no holes in it, so we'll pull that aside. All right, first we're gonna pull our main jet here, which obviously we already know both of these are gonna be gummed up. Yeah, I know you guys probably won't be able to tell, but she's 100% clogged. Let's pull our pilot out. Just so you guys know, you don't need to be murdering these jets when you're putting them back in. Like, just feel to when it gets tight and give it a tiny bit more hand tight. You don't, these do not need to be extremely tight. You can't go anywhere. Oh, it's right at the top. Shoot. Okay, well, and there's our pilot, which, oh yeah, she's 100% clogged. We're gonna go ahead and clean all this out really good, get a new gasket, potentially new jets. We're gonna see how bad these, or how these clean up, but yeah, we're gonna clean this up quick. All right, so we got our carb cleaned up and back on. The next thing we are gonna do is obviously get rid of all the gas in this thing, because clearly they didn't clean the carb and that gas was getting to the carb. So let's first, this is already dirty. So we're just gonna see if anything comes out of this petcock when we open it up. All right, so maybe there's nothing in it, which would be great. We're gonna unscrew this to get the petcock off. Double check, but I mean, nothing's coming out. So we're gonna flush that quick, get some normal gas in here because the oil injection is still working. And then we're going to throw on the exhaust we have from the other PW and see if we can get this one fire up. All right, guys, we got our exhaust bolted up down here, and we're just going to leave this one out. So we only have the main pipe on, not the silencer. We do have one last thing we're going to check before we try and start this thing. Just make sure we have some of our gear oil in here. As always, the PW calls for 300 milliliters, and I run that 10W40 wet clutch oil. We'll use their custom dipstick here. And it actually looks pretty clear, so that's really good to see. And this mini zip tie is about the length down you want to see it at, so very happy with that. Let's give this thing some standard gas since our oil line is still hooked up, and try and fire this thing up. So we just put some non-oxy gas in here. One thing I do like to check quickly is this screw right down here is your overflow. So if you just unscrew that quick, so we turned our gas line on, theoretically the carb should be filling up with gas and it's coming out the overflow. So now we know that the carb is filling up with gas and should be going to that float height. But we got our gas, we got our spark, and we had 120 compression once we put the oil in it. Obviously, we're hoping once we get this thing running that compression stays up and that it is going to need a top end at some point, but we just want to see if we can get it running quick here. As I mentioned, our choke does not work. We don't have an air filter on and we don't have half the exhaust on. We're going to see if we can get this sucker to pop over. Hard because you can't choke it. I tried giving it some gas. We're going to try a little bit of old starting fluid just to see if we can get the pop over. And yes, I know it isn't good for two strokes. It is what it is. She's alive. All right, well, that's pretty sweet. That took about an hour, and we got a running P-dub. So what we need is our exhaust, the main pipe, and the silencer. Definitely going to get new jets for the carb, and we need an air filter. That's really the main things we need mechanically. Our bars are a little bent and our front shocks are locked up, so I'm going to get those too. But I already showed you in the last video how to do that stuff. Really just wanted to cover the mechanical problem solving side of it on this one, but that one was pretty easy. Took us about an hour. All right, guys, so as you saw, we were able to get this bike to run shortly with the other PW's exhaust on it. I did find an air box for it. I got to order this new piece again, similar to what I ordered on the other one. In the list of what we found this bike really needs is obviously the full exhaust, the pipe and the silencer, this piece right here, a new choke cable, and potentially a top end. We're going to wait on the top end and see if we can get it to run good, see if those rings really just need to get unstuck. But we're going to hop into the next bike, the TTR 90 here. Got the TTR 90 2003 up here on the stand. We're just kind of doing a quick look over of it. Obviously, we got no battery in here. The chain looks rough, extremely rusty. I don't know if I've ever seen a sprocket where all the teeth were bent, so the sprocket looks terrible. I mean, this thing was bent up. This was definitely a used and abused bike. There's our carb. You can see it's a Mikuni, but man, it's looking rough. We're gonna first start by getting the plastics pulled off just so we have a little bit more visibility here. Done a TTR 90 before, but I believe we're just gonna have two 10mm bolts to pop the seats off. If you don't have one of these Milwaukee ratchets, they're so sick, save you so much time. Well, I feel pretty dumb now. All I need to do is lift the seat off and unhook it off the front here, and then the whole plastic shroud is a different piece. So this was what I was looking at from the bottom. Just unscrew this right behind the gas tank, and then this whole plastic shroud is going to come off. All right, we'll set that aside, put our bolt back in as always. All right, first thing we're gonna do is go to the other side and see if we have spark. All right, so we got the bike flipped around here. I believe it is a 5/8 spark plug. Yep. Okay, here's our plug. Looks decently clean. He's running a Champion Z9Y, but it looked to be running pretty good, or it's a new plug. Very clean, not wet to the touch, so we'll have to make sure gas is getting to our carb. But for our first step here, what we're gonna do is put the plug back in the boot, ground it out to the frame, and use the kickstart and see if we have spark. Oh, we gotta make sure our key is turned on. Oh wow, this is awesome. This might be a better way to show you. I got the plug grounded out and then I'm pushing the Kickstarter over by hand. So, all right, you can see we got good spark. Next thing we're gonna do is Google what a 2003 TTR 90 should have for compression. I don't work with 4-strokes as much as 2-strokes, so I don't know. So we're gonna look that up quick and then we're gonna chuck our compression tester in there. We don't have much room at all to get the little adapter for your compression tester in there, but it is possible. What I found out on Google was a bunch of different things, but kind of you're looking for 100 to 120. So I'm gonna back up, take the bike off the stand, give it a couple kicks and see what we're at. All right guys, so we got our compression tester hooked up. We're gonna do throttle open. We're hoping for 100 to 120. $70. Give it a couple more kicks. That did not feel good. I kicked it that one time, so we got up to 70, maybe 72. We're gonna shoot some oil down there, try and free up the rings. Guys, we shot a little bit of penetrating oil down there and some 2-stroke oil to try and free up the rings. We are going to give it a couple kicks now, throttle open, and see if our compression jumps up, indicating our rings are stuck. Up to 80, so the rings definitely were hurting it a bit. About 80 is the best we could get. So compression's definitely an issue. I think we wanted to see 100 to 120. I guess let's check the air filter and clean the carb. We gotta pull them all the way out. All right. Oh, it's disgusting. Wow. Well, I guess we'll get some gloves and clean that out. As you can see, there is literally no air filter left, so we're gonna need a new air filter. That's for sure. We're gonna pull the rest of this box off to get to the carb. All right, we're pulling this air box completely off now. You got a screw right up under the gas tank with a washer and lock washer. Got another screw right up next to the triple tree here. I went ahead and put those screws for the airbox back into the airbox so we don't lose those. Just trying to pry it off with this screwdriver, but it's not even a flathead. We're gonna grab the heat gun to help get that off, melt up the plastic. Flathead, we were able to pry this off. I didn't even use the heat gun. The screen for our airbox did come out, and what left of the air filter came out too. We're gonna put this all back together so we don't lose it, and then I guess take off the carb next. All right guys, it's been a little bit of time. Sorry about that, but I got the carb out. Obviously, if your choke tube, this is for the electric start. Your throttle goes in here. The throttle cable was actually free and in there the correct way. The first thing we're gonna go about is bring this outside quick, spray it down with some carb cleaner, just get a little cleaner working surface. So we just kind of sprayed it off real quick. We're gonna go ahead and get these, drop the bowl on this and see what our jets and our stuff is looking like. I'm hoping this looks a lot better than the PW50 bowl that we pulled apart about an hour ago, because that was horrible. But something tells me if the same guy owned two bikes, the carbs probably look similar. Because why would he maintain one of them and not the other? not much better. I'll flip the camera around so you guys can see, but here's the bottom of our bowl. So we got some shit in there, but nowhere near as bad as the 50. Our float still moves, so that's good. Let's clean this up quick and then pull out the jets. All right, so we just sprayed the bowl. We're gonna try and get our float out here. Hopefully this one's not too stuck. Got our handy dandy little pick. This is not as easy as it was last time. Try and go right up and down. Oh, shoot. All right, well, nothing broke, thank you. We're gonna spray this down with some PV Blaster. Maybe it'll just come out then. Oh, it moved. Now we're gaining progress. That was harder than it should have been. Jeez. All right, well. Oh, our needle is stuck in there. That's funny. All right, well, while we wait for that to soak for a minute, we're going to pull our jets and see what we're working with here. Either a 50 or I can read the 0. I can't read the first number. It's actually clear. You can see right through it, so that was not our problem. Granted, we didn't even try and start this bike, but that would not have been a problem. Oh, shoot. Where is it? Our pilot is clogged. You can not see through that, guys. So we're going to unclog that. We're going to figure out how to get our stuck needle out of here and our float. So we got some work to do. I mean, you guys kind of saw it, straightforward. We're going to pull the jets, clean them, put it all back together. We'll catch you when the carb's back together.